I want to give Jordan Peterson props for bringing this up, not from a business standpoint. I'm going to talk about it from a business standpoint.
Okay.
But he brought it to my attention when I was listening to him talk about the interaction with Moses in the burning bush. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is early on.
Yeah.
So this is chapter 2, Exodus, and I'm just going to pull it up right here.
Okay.
And now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert. And he came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. Now, here's the wild thing. Next thing that happens, literally, if someone has a business, or let's say someone's trying to create viral videos or anything, like this right here, by itself, will like give them so much direction on what to do.
Okay.
And this right here is so epic. It's insanity.
I have no idea where you're going with this, by the way.
So, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. Mm-hmm. So we've seen that story, the old Charles and Heston films, Ten Commandments. You know, you've seen the burning bush. Most people are at least somewhat aware of Moses encountering a burning bush, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not burning up. So that's interesting. But that's not the interesting part. It's like this really boring line that's about to come. And Moses said, oh, hold on. And the angel, verse 2, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire, and in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush, and he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. Okay, now everybody focuses on all that. That's still not the point. And it says, and Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. Now here's the next line that is absolutely incredible. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Hanini, here I am.
Here I am.
Here I am. Here am I. Here I am. Now, what's so fascinating about this is God did not speak his name until he saw him turn aside. Mm-hmm. And so he put the flame of fire, a spectacle, something, a pattern interrupt that's going to get your attention.
It should.
And then he waited until Moses saw it and allowed it to disrupt his path. Mm-hmm. And so he allowed it to disrupt his path, and he then turned to it out of both curiosity, adventure, interest, whatever it is. And that's when the Lord called to him. And so often, I have a friend of mine that's in business, and he's been up and down in his, not up and down business-wise, his business is doing fantastic, but he's felt a little bit out of alignment, or at least perhaps out of alignment. Mm-hmm. So he keeps asking God to show him what he needs to do, just show him what he needs to do, just show him what he needs to do. And the thing is that happened was, he said, one of his friends told him recently, a man of God told him, listen, you got to make a decision to do something different than you're doing now before God speaks to you. And he said, because you can't always wait for God to drop out of the sky and to give you tablets, stone tablets.
Sign me up for a stone tablet.
Right? The stone tablets would be great, but it usually don't work that way. And I was just thinking about this. See, Moses didn't get the stone tablets for a long time before. Like, this was the first kind of encounter. Mm-hmm. And he just, it's just a thing in a distance that catches his attention.
Yeah.
And then he turns aside. And the turning of the side, which almost is really the same definition of repentance. Like, repentance is a turning into a different direction, going a different way. And I just think it's really fascinating, because I will now turn aside and see this great sight. So he goes out of his way to go do this different thing than what his mission was at the moment, to keep the sheep going on. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fascinating, because when we're looking at businesses, and we're doing our thing, whatever it is, we have a pattern that we go through, and a pattern every day. His was being a shepherd. He has a pattern, a pattern. And we may be unsatisfied. We may be stagnant. We may be frustrated. We may not be hearing what we want to hear. We may not be getting the feedback we want to get feedback on. And then something will catch our attention. And we don't really have control always of what captures our attention. Like, it just... Like, you're just going about our day, and that thing's happening over there. And so it almost possesses our attention, our eyes, and we turn. And then we have to make that decision. When we look, we have to make a decision. Are we going to do the thing? You know, there's been so many people like I have a coaching program around food, and I'm business partners with a guy, and the number of people that have messaged us and told us on our 5-day challenge, oh my goodness, like I prayed for this last week,
right,
and then immediately saw your ad,
right,
and do you know the number of people that prayed for that same thing, saw the ad, and then didn't turn aside from what they were doing to move into the ad? And so I had told my business partner for years, do you understand that there's people out there that are praying for you and what you're called for? Like, they're praying for a solution. They're praying for it. And your ad can be the attention.
Yep.
You know, the flame of fire. And I'm not trying to compare a business to God by any stretch of imagination, but you either respond to a stimulus, especially one that's related to your calling or related to that which you're praying for, that which you're praying for direction around, and then you see and you fall back. Like, people just fall back and they're like, I'm just gonna stay in the status quo, and they don't actually move. You know, one of the reasons I respect you so much is you have regularly, and for those of you that don't know, Zach will be like, regularly he'll ask me this question. I'll be like, oh, there's a great idea. Here it is. Look at it. Ah! And he'll be like, I love it. It's wonderful. Let me ask you a question before we talk about it more. This is what he'll say. He'll say, is this what God called you to do? It's a fantastic question. Like, it's a phenomenal question. And it always is like, don't ask me that. I'm excited right now. But it's like, but that don't mean I wouldn't be excited. The question, it's a good question. It's a wonderful question, because what it does is it forces you to re-hierarchically organize what has grabbed your attention.